connected with his office personnel. As an administrator, you do not have time to prepare for murder trials. That will take away from the job that you were elected to do. And being an elected official means that you have complete oversight of the DA's office. You do not have time to participate in trials. To be a great attorney, you have to dedicate 110% of your time to your case. That's not something that the district attorney has time to do.
Last question for Mr. Morales. Amidst the recent corruption concerns among certain politicians within the city, how will you strive to improve transparency and proper representation within El Paso?
You know, this is the kind of thing that plagues us here in El Paso. We have a long string of cases involving public corruption that ravaged our community for several years before now. And it took the federal government, an outside entity, to come in and clean up our mess. I was embarrassed, personally. I was offended, personally, in all of those different ways. We should not have outside entities coming in and cleaning up our mess. We need to clean up our own mess. We need to do something ourselves. The white-collar division, the assistant district attorneys in the office, they need to be working on these cases. These issues are rearing their ugly heads. Problems with the Children's Hospital, problems with City Council. We need to nip these things in the bud. We need to attack these problems, not hide from them. If I'm elected district attorney, we will not hide from these problems. We will attack them. We'll take them on. We'll utilize a grand jury process. We'll utilize our investigators. We'll utilize our assistant district attorneys and stop the corruption that plagues our community.
Has the El Paso County Ethics Commission improved the official environment within far west Texas?
You know, we are the only county in the state of Texas that has an ethics commission, right, by legislation. I think it has made a difference within the county. I'm not sure I would tell you within the region, but we may be setting the example for the state. But let me just address something because it relates to your question. Mr. Morales said that, well, we need to clean up our own stuff. We do clean our own stuff. We do take care of our own business. What the FBI did was they based it on evidence that was given to them. Now, one of the things you might ask is, well, why wasn't the DA involved? Well, the DA was not involved because the investigators I rely on, the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, the Texas Rangers, or the Texas Department of Public Safety, did not have that evidence for a variety of reasons. But that doesn't mean we don't support having an ethical and clean government. But experience and judgment matters in this process. And for instance, to say to you today that there's a crime at City Council is incorrect. That a crime occurred at the Children's Hospital is incorrect. Why don't we take our time and look at the evidence? That's what experience and judgment does.
It has been pointed out on multiple occasions across the state that district attorneys keep either official or unofficial list of police officers whose histories of lying or other misconduct would have been revealed to defense lawyers. Will this be an issue under your administration?
What you're referring to is called Brady material. So if an officer has been convicted or has an issue with regards to their honesty and their integrity as it relates to the case, then yes, by law, all that information does have to be revealed. Currently what's going on with the administration is that certain officers have already been cleared of any wrongdoing or misconduct, and yet those officers have not been removed from the Brady list. And that's a huge issue, because you're denying the officer his opportunity to go back into the public and serve his community. If an officer has been cleared of any wrongdoing, then they need to be back out on the street. We as a community pour in too much money when they go to the academy. We need to let those officers back out on the street so that they can continue serving and protecting us. So if they're cleared of any wrongdoing, they do need to be removed from that Brady list.
Will the evolution of new technology used in investigations allow for certain cases to be reopened to ensure the proper verdict of the decision?
The short answer is that absolutely. saw a revolution in DNA. And DNA has exonerated many of the defendants. And I have that kind of perspective coming from the defense practice, having represented people in just those types of cases with those kinds of stakes. And if there's new technologies that come up, if there's new technologies that are brought forward, we have to consider this. We can't ignore this. We can't turn our backs on people languishing in prison who may in fact not be guilty or not have committed the crimes that they've been accused of. We can't simply turn our backs, walk away, and think, well, hey, they had their day in court, right? No, we have to constantly be reviewing things. We have to constantly strive to do justice. Not to protect our own legacies, not to protect our history, not to protect a record which in 20 years, frankly, no one's really going to care about. What we need to do is justice, the right things for the right reasons.
This question will be for Mr. Esparza. Stemming from the dropped case by the District Attorney's Office regarding a detention officers accused of beating an inmate, how can we ensure that biases and lack of evidence will not be an issue?
That's a really good question, and it relates to the Brady question that was asked earlier. What you need to know about the Brady list or Brady evidence is evidence that indicates that the accused is not guilty, needs to be disclosed. What these two did not tell you is that we have a very sophisticated system that they utilize to allow them to look at my file over the internet. We're state of the art. We did it way before the law required, and I'm very proud of our transparency. One thing you might know as well is in the back and forth of these cases, these high-profile cases, you have never heard of prosecutorial misconduct. I'm proud of that. In the case you might be referring to, we investigate those cases diligently, and we try to be extremely thorough. And so we present all of those cases to the grand jury. We answer all the questions that the grand jury wants us to ask, plus we present our evidence, and I am confident that they get a very good picture of what happened. Thank you.
How, if possible, will modern technology be introduced to improve efficiency? I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Of your office.
Well, as Mr. Esparza stated, yes, it's called the portal system, whereby every defense attorney has the opportunity to review the material, the evidence in the case. But keep in mind, everything is controlled by the district attorney's office. They decide what gets put into the disclosure for the defense bar. So we have to have that transparency. We have to make sure that every report is made available. Right now, police officers are using technology. I would encourage the use of body cameras, which I think will make it easier for the public to know exactly what happened. It'll make it easier for the attorneys to know exactly what happened if body cameras are used by the police officers from the very initiation of a stop. From the beginning to the end, the body cameras will reveal everything, and I do believe that that will help us in resolving the cases and producing evidence to the defense bar.
Thank you. Stemming from the dropped case by the District Attorney's Office regarding a detention officer accused of beating an inmate, how can we ensure that biases and lack of evidence will not be an issue?
Here's the real problem that we have with it. Is you have a District Attorney's Office that has a closed process. I don't know how Mr. Paso comes to his decision. I don't know how they decide which cases are going to go in front of the grand jury, which cases are not going to go in front of the grand jury. I can tell you that Mr. Paso is being a bit disingenuous here by suggesting that all these cases go before the grand jury. They don't. They certainly don't. And to suggest that there's no prosecutorial misconduct going on in his office is also disingenuous. I know of a case just 2 weeks ago, a mistrial for Abeytia because his assistant district attorneys failed to turn over potentially exculpatory material. That's 150 of you sitting in a room, wasting your morning and wasting your time because the prosecutors failed to turn over evidence. That's something that shouldn't happen. We should be transparent. Things should be open to the public as much as is humanly possible. I will tell you that those cases will be dealt with by me. I will make the final decision on which cases go to the grand jury. So if you have a problem with that decision, you'll know who to look for.
Gonzalez? And I will give you the option if you want a audience question or rebuttal. Which one?
Let me take an audience question.
Okay.
I feel daring.
This question is Gonzalez. Would you try and reopen the Villegas case again?
That is a fantastic question because the public has been dying to know about it. Well, the Daniel Villegas case is still pending. There's some material that's up in front of the Court of Criminal Appeals right now. For those of you who may or may not be, or who may not be familiar with it, there is a discussion about whether some conversations that took place in the jail, if they're going to be allowed to be used as evidence. So the case is still open. Once that decision is handed down by the Court of Criminal Appeals, I will make the decision whether there is sufficient evidence to proceed, and I will at least tell the public, after careful review and careful scrutiny, after reading all the transcripts, all the evidence, and the decision handed down by the Court of Criminal Appeals, I feel that we need to proceed, or I feel that we need to dismiss this case. We certainly need resolution to this case, which has taken over 20 years to resolve and has cost the taxpayers a lot of money.
And the same question goes to you. Would you try and reopen the Villegas case?
I am very aware of the Villegas case. I personally tried them in 1995. What you need to remember as we go back in time is back then we lost 2 boys in the northeast part of town. They were murdered. That's really important to know. I tried it twice. The first time it was 11-1 for guilty. The second time it was a guilty conviction, so 12 people said he was guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Now we fast forward 20 years, and we're second guessing what that jury did. Just know this, that one, there was a judge, a very well-respected Judge Bramlett, who supervised the trial. And the reversal by the Court of Appeals, you need to pay attention to this because this always gets confused. The reversal is not that he is innocent. The reversal is that he got a bad lawyer, that his lawyer was ineffective. Now, because he has an ineffective lawyer, for me, is not reason to dismiss it. Mr. Morales has said he would dismiss it on day 1. I think that's irresponsible.
Now, look, I'm not a passing observer of the Villegas case. This is an important case that's been languishing here now for some time in our community. It's been in our news, it's been in our faces, it's been all over the place. As a criminal defense attorney, I followed that case closely. I office next to the lawyer that Mr. Esparza tried the case against now some 20 some odd years ago. I don't have to wait to review transcripts, I don't have to wait to review evidence. I've heard everything. We had 2 trials and a 2-week-long evidentiary hearing here in El Paso where everything was played out. What else is there? What's left to present? What Mr. Esparza fails to tell you is that he got those convictions with an illegally coerced confession. The 2 trials that they did was with that confession. He doesn't have that confession anymore. It doesn't exist. It's out of evidence. So we need to ask ourselves, is this a viable case? Is it a real case? And yes, I will dismiss that case on day 1 because it's not justice.